Okay, so we're now recording the meeting and we can get to start. So what I'll do is I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll ask our first speaker, which is Sweta Thakra, the careers leader, Dr. Challoner's High School in Buckinghamshire, who's going to take us through our first presentation. So thank you very much, Sweta, and it's over to you.
Good afternoon, Peter, and thank you very much for inviting me to present today. What I'm going to talk to you about today is how we have used Alumni to creatively enhance our careers provision at Dr. Challoner's High School, and how that can help make kind of an impactful careers program. Peter, can I just double check that my slideshow is showing the first title screen?
Yes, I can see your first screen there.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much. Good. What we're trying to achieve with this short presentation is to understand how alumni can enrich in our careers program, what the advantages are of using and engaging alumni in the careers provision to keep students inspired and motivated, and also how we can keep connected with those alumni so that they keep coming back and keep wanting to be connected to the school and deliver in our careers provision. So what's in it for them, if you like? So I'm very conscious that people on this call might be in different stages of the process when it comes to creating an alumni database. And I know that the two speakers after me also have some insightful advice to help regarding using LinkedIn and using Compass Plus as two successful tools in getting that kind of alumni database, you know, increasing and getting those people on board that we can then use from a bank, if you like. So there's various ways in which an alumni database can be created. And like I said, you can be at different stages in this process. Some may have some sort of engagement. Others may have a very kind of robust process where they're engaging with alumni very frequently. Just to start off, I'll say that the process that we were in about this sort of time last year was very kind of simple. We were using an Excel spreadsheet, which mainly was used for fundraising purposes as opposed to careers kind of connections. And from that, we kind of evolved our alumni engagement through parental engagement, so using Sims to contact ex-students who we wanted to bring back as alumni and get engaged in our careers program, using LinkedIn and social media to get engagement. And finally, we then opted for a bespoke software. There's quite a few in the market. We went for Graduate, and this is the program that we have started using successfully. And we also make sure that we add all our connections into Compass Plus as in potential employers, which also really helps keeping a database that anyone can access in the school and allows that to be kind of, reachable to all staff as and when needed. So a few ideas of things that have worked successfully at Dr. Challoner's High School. I am the careers lead, so the sort of things that I get involved in are quite practical, as you can imagine, and I'm sure it's similar in your roles. And the kind of added value that alumni have brought to us specifically are things like CV clinics and personal statement clinics. So we recently, for example, had a couple of alumni who work in the HR space come in to deliver workshops to our year 11 and year 12 pupils. Just thought that these 2-year groups were at that critical point, year 11, because we are launching the work experience program in the summer, which I'll get into in a minute. And year 12, because it's a good time when the pressure's off when it comes to exams, etc., and they're thinking of their next steps after school. So we got them in and they helped us deliver workshops which were CV focused, so helping our pupils generate good CVs that are marketable and giving them kind of insight into what personal statements and applications could look like. So for universities and for apprenticeships. This was a really useful couple of sessions for both year groups because again, some of them didn't have CVs to start off with. Some of them, this was their first kind of dive into the world of applications and thinking about personal statements, etc. So to hear it from somebody who'd been at the school not that long ago in some cases really helped them give some context and yeah, get those practical skills onto paper because that's what these applications involve. We also have used Alumni for mock interviews and the assessment day formats. So for example, we've had an alumna deliver a year 12 presentation where she did mock interviewing with pupils. So this was during October this year, so very much in time for MMI interviews for the likes of medics, etc., people who were thinking about doing early applications for Oxbridge, etc. So we use them for providing tips. Usually these are alumni that have been in those kind of fields before and that can provide experience from when it was their, process a while back. And also it could be alumni that are in these sort of roles where they are interviewing people, they're part of panels, etc., that are part of selection teams, which provide that insight as to what good may look like to our pupils who are aspiring to be selected. We also run weekly lecture series, which the students organise, but I oversee. So we give the responsibility to students, to our prefect and head girl team to deliver lecture to source speakers for lecture series every week, timetabled on a Thursday. And luckily we've been very fortunate that we have been able to attract alumni from all sorts of different walks of life, from the creative space to medicine to finance to law to all sorts of different areas. One that we're trying to really raise awareness on is the engineering space, and kind of we're an all-girls school, so the likes of women in engineering, etc., is quite an area that we try to focus on. And we've been very fortunate to bring back alumni from these areas. One specific one was from the Institute of Engineering and Technology that came back to talk to us, from Cisco, etc. So it's quite interesting for pupils to hear the stories of alumni who have gone on and done careers that maybe didn't even exist a few years ago, and share that kind of inspiration and serve as role models. And it's these sessions are weekly and are selected by our prefects and head girl teams as to who presents. So they focus on what the students want to listen to. So it's quite nice so that the alumni are then people that they use as role models, and they find that, okay, this is somebody who can bring back, some interesting stories from when they left us. So we want to interview these ladies and find out how they're getting on. Sorry, I keep saying females because we're an all-female school. So we do have Dr. Chalmers Grammar School, which is an all-boys school, just to clarify. Work experience, like I said, we are relaunching the Year 11 work experience program this year. I don't know if what the lay of the land is across your worlds, because obviously during COVID it was very much virtual, and this year we've taken the plunge and we're definitely doing it over the summer. And we're already very fortunate to have one alumna who's already confirmed that she can place at least 4 ladies in her company, which for us is a great thing, because as you know, not everyone will have the ability to find their own work experience placements. So in our particular school, my intervention is low. So what we do is we encourage pupils to find their own work opportunities. and take them on specified dates in the summer after their exams. So these connections are really helpful, especially for those who may not have, the network to be able to source their own work experience. So that gives me some comfort that I've got a few connections in my back pocket that I can reach out to from the alumni standpoint that will be willing to take on pupils to give them work experience. The next one is careers fairs. Again, it's something that's gaining momentum again this year after a couple of quiet years. So our last careers fair was in the 12th of March 2020. I remember it very well because it was a week before the national lockdown. I just got in there. And we've got one coming up on the 19th of March, so very shortly. And out of the, I think it's 85 stalls that we've got confirmed, there's about 15 that our alumni are taking, which it is quite a significant number. But given that we're kind of in this journey where we're still engaging alumni and we're still growing our alumni platform, it's quite a decent number to kind of have a stall and be able to use that opportunity to talk to pupils, for pupils to be able to approach them for work experience, for kind of expertise, finding out what people are doing, what their careers paths are in those sort of fields which they're holding their stalls and their companies. So that's quite a good thing as well. International engagement has been one of the kind of silver linings of COVID, if you like. Because of COVID and because of the virtual kind of world that we have lived in the last couple of years, we were very fortunate to hold a talk, a virtual talk in the summer of last year, where we had an audience which was our year 11 cohort, so about 180 pupils in one call. And the format, we called it Talking Heads, which was a bit like, as a joke, we called it Loose Women. So we had women dialing in, so alumni dialing in from different countries as it happened. So people who'd kind of obviously moved on from Challengers High and since then pursued their careers in the international space. One was in New York calling us from her job in Bank of America. Another one was in Sweden, and she's a geophysicist. And we had somebody working in beauty, and she was in the UK. So quite a varied mix of alumni in one call. But the good thing was it allowed us, the good thing with COVID and technology, it allowed us to get some international input and how pupils can use, can kind of broaden their horizons and look at opportunities, outside of the UK if that's something that interests them. So in the case of the geophysicist, it was a case of the sort of kind of sector that she wanted to go into was much more open in the likes of Sweden than in the UK. So that's why she pursued her career there. Careers newsletters, this is something that we do every half term. And at the end of every half term, we launch a newsletter, which is for pupils and parents and staff, containing all sorts of information about the careers events we've had, some kind of information around a hot topic at that time. So the last one was around apprenticeships, because it was National Apprenticeships Week recently. And we had an alumni spotlight every careers newsletter, and that particular one had a kind of an article from a pupil who went on to do a degree apprenticeship with Cisco, talking to us about her journey. Wall of Fame is an idea that I've copied from another local Buckinghamshire school, and that's the Misbourne School. And basically what that is in the corridors to do a small poster of various different alumni telling us where they are now. So a photo, the fact that they were at that school and what they're doing now. And I've got a template for this if anyone would like to copy this idea. Trips is something where basically we can use alumni to take pupils out to organizations where these alumni might be working currently, if they're open to kind of opening their doors to pupils. So giving them that experience of being in a workplace and seeing what it's like in the real world, etc. And career mentoring. Career mentoring is kind of matching up an alumna with a pupil or various pupils who want to follow a similar sort of path that alumni has followed. The advantages of using Alumni in your careers provision is obviously a free resource, so there's no cost attached to it. It keeps you connected with what the alumni has been up to since they left school. It helps us keep on top of destination data, that much needed kind of source of information and tracking. And also it raises aspirations to pupils using relatable role models, because they can connect to those individuals that have been at their school, worn their uniform, been in their corridors, etc. And how can we keep the alumni engaged? So why would they want to keep coming back to your school? What's in it for them, if you like? It's lovely for them to be able to stay connected to the school and to their classmates and to teachers that they really liked, etc. It gives them a sense of fulfillment, that sense of wanting to give back. Employers also value employees that are giving back. So employers have targets around corporate social responsibility. So employees who take the time out to do this sort of work are kind of looked up to and considered, you know, and there's a nice status and reputation associated with it. Sharing on LinkedIn. So often you'll find, you know, an alumni will be sharing on LinkedIn the great, you know, presentation that they've delivered or a workshop that they've been involved in, because there's kudos attached to doing these sort of initiatives with schools. And it also allows them to build a pipeline, you know, a talent pipeline for later on. So if they're mentoring a pupil and they find that that pupil is really high performing and it's exactly the kind of pupil that their organization wants to hire, they'll want to keep connected with that pupil and they'll want to kind of keep a relationship with the school, because the school is delivering to them something that might be of interest later on for them when they're recruiting. We often use things like give them free tickets to shows for schools. So the school's currently doing a show for 42nd Street with our drama team. So we will offer tickets to alumni that have helped the school, etc. They often get invited to CPD that the school has access to. So we're part of the Women in Education Network, and we allow alumni to take part on selected events as and when, just as a way of saying thank you. We arrange meetups, like for example, we've got an afternoon tea coming up in the summer where we're getting alumni together. They have an opportunity to be mentored by other alumni, which might be of interest to them. And again, they will kind of widen their professional network, and they will all also have access to job listings from the school. So we share job listings with them, so that if there is an opportunity that they would like to apply to, that gives them visibility of the roles that we're recruiting for. And finally, not wanting to take too much of your time, but just to give you an idea. So what we do, and you probably know, it is good practice to try and do this as much as possible with careers events, is to try and do an impact assessment to see what sort of feedback you're getting from the initiatives that you're running in your careers provision. And when we have used alumni, the feedback is unanimous from pupils that they agree or strongly agree that alumni are a great source of inspiration. They are great role models, that these are the sort of presentations they would definitely recommend be given to the younger years. So one of the questions I always ask is, would you give this to next year's cohort? And all of them have said agree or strongly agree. So no one said disagree. So it just shows that the sort of messaging that alumni can give to pupils always tends to land in a way which is very well received. Sorry, I know I've gone slightly over my time, Peter, but I will answer any questions when we do the Q&A session at the end. But thank you very much, Peter and Kerry, for having me today, and I'll be around for questions shortly.
Excellent, that's really great. Thank you, Sweta. Okay, next to speak we have Mark Walton. Now, Mark is the Global Client Director at LinkedIn, so he's going to talk to you about LinkedIn. So, Mark, over to you.
Brilliant, thanks Peter, and good afternoon everyone. Good to spend a bit of time with you. So PowerPoint Live seems to be going a little bit slow to prepare the slides, but as Peter said, going to walk you through a little bit about LinkedIn. So I'm a global client director. That's my day job, which is like a senior sales job, working with a few of our largest clients. My kind of side gig internally is I'm on our social impact board for the UK. And I lead a lot of the work we do with young people around the UK, around how to use LinkedIn for schools, for universities as well. So that's how I got connected with Peter, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about at the moment. So PowerPoint Live is telling me it's still working on through a few issues. It's a little message I'm getting. But while that's coming up, I'll say actually quickly agree 100% with what Sweta said in terms of the benefits for alumni, what's in it for alumni. That's what got me passionate, excited about kind of working with young people and going back as alumni to my university, and then getting involved with our social impact boards. 100% agree with that. But what we're going to cover today is a few points. I'll go through fairly quickly. If it sounds like an interesting topic you'd like to learn more about, I mentioned to Peter before, very happy to do follow-up sessions with a group of you. If you want to understand more about what you can do from a school perspective or students perspective and alumni perspective. So we're going to quickly touch on what is LinkedIn, make sure everyone's just got a kind of sense of what the platform is, what we're about. Then what schools can do on LinkedIn, how you can do that. And then what your year 11 to 13 students specifically can do on LinkedIn. And we'll touch on privacy settings as well. And I don't know why it's still not sharing.
I can see your presentation, Mark. So
great. It's maybe just my end then. I can't see it. So if I go like that, is that in full screen now, Peter?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So something funky is going on with Teams for me, so I can't see anyone now. So if you've kind of got any questions, comments, Peter, or need to interrupt me, just feel free to do so. But so LinkedIn, to give you a sense of LinkedIn, a professional network. The vision for LinkedIn as a platform is to create economic opportunity, ultimately for every single member of the global workforce. Our mission is, for the moment, focused primarily on professional audience. That's about connecting the world's professionals to make them more productive and more successful. And we do that through the platform. And from a school's perspective, it's really about helping connect schools and students to opportunity, to economic opportunity. So whether that's jobs, careers, whether that's business contacts, connections to expand their networks, to drive business opportunities once they're in the world of work, to be able to research, universities they might want to go to be able to research, jobs or companies they might want to be might be interested in the future, connecting schools and students to that kind of opportunity. So a few key data points of what we refer to as the economic graph. The economic graph really is a phrase to represent simply what LinkedIn is, which you can think of as a digital representation of the global economy. So some key pillars of that global economy are people in the global workforce. So we have over 800 million members globally. Companies that people work at. Companies does include schools, non-profits as well. 55 million plus companies on the platform. 14 million jobs available for people to find, apply for at any one point in time at the moment, which is ramping up again after being much higher pre-COVID and then dropping through the COVID times. We also index the skills that are required to get those jobs. So, yeah, so skills to get the jobs, then the schools. Schools is very much the American term, so schools, universities, state schools, grammar schools would all be encompassed under that kind of headline of schools. So 115,000 schools on the platform. And knowledge refers to articles, updates, pieces of information that people are sharing on the platform on a daily basis. So a huge amount of information flowing through the network and a really living, breathing representation of what's going on in the global economy. So that's LinkedIn as a platform. So if you go to the next one, Peter, let's just move into what schools can do on LinkedIn. So one more. So one more slide, Peter.
Yeah, it's gone forward. It's probably trying it slow, catching up at your end.
Must be my network connection being bad this early. I know. Okay, so so really, for what schools can do, three main things. It's about three core pillars of what you can do. It's about establishing the right foundations, Once you've got those established, positioning and promoting your brand, building connections with local businesses, if that's one of your goals and objectives, and then developing the alumni community. That's the three core pillars of what I'll focus on for today. So again, if you go to the next slide, Peter.
Yeah, showing it now.
Great. So maybe the next one, Peter, unless it's just very laggy, my ends. Are you showing the benefits of having your school set up correctly?
The opportunity for schools, three core pillars.
Okay, yeah, so next one then.
The benefits, yep.
Yeah, okay. So benefits of having your school set up correctly. So you will know if you have your school set up. You can have a schools page on LinkedIn or a company page, or there's your personal profile page. So we want you to have your school set up properly, which would mean being set up as a schools page. The easy way to identify that is if you go onto your page on LinkedIn, so the page for the school that you work at. If you look at the URL at the top, it will say linkedin.com/school and then / whatever your school name is. If it's for a company, it will say linkedin.com/company/HSBC, for example. So make sure it's got school in that URL at the top. If it does, brilliant. That means you're set up correctly in terms of having a schools page. Once you have a schools page, there's a number of key things you can do. So key benefits that flow from that. So your students and alumni can add the school to their profiles. So on their personal profiles, they can say, I went to, for me, there's a school I grew up down in Kent, a school called Chatham House Grammar School. So I went to Chatham House Grammar School, that will be on my profile. So it shows proper affiliation, looks more more professional on my profile. And it means that I automatically follow the school. And that's important because the second point here, schools can post content to your followers, something that you can do for free, as much or as little as you want to. So followers will be made up of students and alumni. They will be automatically following the school. So you can share content for students and for parents of those students, whether that's to events, careers, help sessions, whatever it might be. You can also share content for your alumni, whether that's news, successes, alumni news, volunteering requests, some of the things that Sweta was talking about previously. Another way you can promote that is through to your followers through your company page on LinkedIn. You can also post content for parents, and also important, content for local businesses. So you can build contacts, relationships with local businesses, encourage them to follow the school as you start working with them, and then share and build share content with that group of businesses and build a kind of community around that for obvious examples like local work experience type of opportunities. And another really key benefit is you get the alumni functionality. So when, like for me, saying that I went to Chatham House Grammar School, so that shows that I went there on my profile. On their schools page, there's an alumni section, and it won't show my personal details because it would be anonymous, but it would show aggregated information about all of their alumni, for example. So, and that alumni functionality is free. It comes with your schools page automatically. So as your current students and past students add your school to their profiles, on your schools page, in your alumni section, you'll be able to see what kind of industries your alumni have gone to work in, what kind of functions they're working in, what kind of countries they're living in and working in. So some really rich information that you can see on your alumni, automatically collated for you, and will be automatically updated over time as more students become alumni. Make sure they've got their schools added, your school added to their profile. That automatically builds that alumni community and network for you. So really powerful functionality that's there for you for free. And then next slide, Peter. So briefly what students can do on LinkedIn, and the next one. So this is primarily focused on year 11, 12, 13 students. And I say that because you have to be 16 or over to have a profile on LinkedIn. But key things that your students can do on there, begin to build out and showcase their professional profile. So as they're beginning to get to that point of GCSE A levels, whether they're thinking about moving out to the world of work, whether they're thinking of going to university, or they're thinking of apprenticeships, whatever it might be they're considering doing once they leave school, having a professional profile on LinkedIn will be hugely helpful to them in achieving those goals or objectives. Once they have their profile, they can begin to grow their network, connecting with students, with teachers, with family and friends, any kind of professional networks or connections that family or friends may have, begin gradually building out their networks to be able to use that network in the future to help them progress their careers and to help other people in their networks. They can also use LinkedIn as a research tool to research employers they might want to work for in the future. As we mentioned, there's literally millions of companies on LinkedIn who talk about themselves and will promote their products, their services on LinkedIn, so you can learn about who they are, what they do, what kind of industries they work in. They'll often have life pages at LinkedIn, on the LinkedIn page, talking about what it's like to work for them, what kind of careers they've got available. They'll have lots of jobs available on there, and they'll be, for ones who hire from grads, they'll be publishing their grad and apprenticeships, kind of internship type job opportunities, as well as jobs for more experienced hires. So a fantastic tool that students can use for research purposes, for either higher education or for jobs and careers. And then the final one, about researching those jobs and skills, really easy, really powerful search capabilities on there to find the jobs that they would be interested in, look at the kind of careers they'd be interested in doing in the future. And if you've got one more, Peter, so the final slide for now, I just wanted to highlight, this is relevant for you from a personal profile perspective. So I was chatting with Peter, some people are sometimes concerned about, you know, what happens with my data on LinkedIn, my information on LinkedIn, who can see it, what can I do with it, how can I protect it, and questions around that. Or it might be just about how many messages you're getting from LinkedIn, how can I dial that up, or more likely dial that down. So where you can go for your privacy settings to control all of that. So first off, obviously you're in control of anything you put on your profile, so you choose what you want to add or not to your profile for the first. With whatever that you put on your profile, you've got some really granular controls about who can see it, how they can see it, how they can access it, who can contact you about different things. And all of that is accessible through the privacy settings. So to get there, you click on the Me icon, which is at the top right of your page, any page on linkedin.com. So on the desktop version, top right page, top right of the page. If you've got a profile photo, the Me icon will be your profile photo. Click on that, then in the drop-down menu, select privacy and settings, and then you can do some of the things that says here and a lot more as well. So you can change the language if you want to, change your password, control notifications, decide what information people can see on your public profile. If you're looking at other people's profiles, you can control what they're able to see about you. So if they can see all of your profile, if they can just see an initial and a first name and an initial and no other information, or if they just see anonymous LinkedIn user. So you've got really, really granular controls there. I just wanted to highlight if that was something you want to look at and explore, to make sure that you're happy and comfortable with how that's set up, so that the platform is working in the most effective way for you to achieve the goals and objectives that you want to. And that was it for me for now. Q&A we're going to cover later, so thank you for that, and I'll pass you back to Peter and look forward to any questions you may have a bit later on.
Thanks very much. That was really great, thank you. And we got through the technical issues, which is a fact of life with our current working environment. So our final speaker, it was going to be Philippa Hartley, but I think Kerry Senia.
If you don't know me, my name's Kerry Senia. I'm a regional lead at the Careers and Enterprise Company. It's nice to see some familiar faces on the call today. I'm stepping in for Philippa. She was unfortunately unable to join us, but Philippa is a careers leader and worked up in a school up in the north. So I'm going to deliver her slides for her. And the aim of the session really was to understand how database management via Compass Plus relates to that wider Sustainable Careers programme. So I'm sure you'll agree how important all these relationships are. And I think this quote says it all, really. Teachers are specialists in their subjects, and many of them are inspiring in their art of teaching. But many of them went through education and came back to it and lack the knowledge of the world of work and enterprise around the real range and scope of their subject, both locally and nationally. So if you're trying to make a subject relevant to students, then the best way to do it is to engage the support of people from the world of work who better than your ex-students who are your most relatable role models. If you're trying to improve opportunities around many of the benchmarks, then by engaging employers and alumni can really do this. And I think Sweta has really highlighted how much you can use alumni in your programme. And it goes without saying that the more contacts you have, the wider range of expertise you have to call on when planning those activities to meet the needs of your students, whether that's your careers fairs or experiences of the workplace or raising aspirations or mock interviews. Philippa loves Excel. And she loves her own spreadsheets. And when you work in isolation, you tend to use your own system, and it's effective in that you build it so that you create your own data in your own style. Obvious benefits are that everyone can use Excel. However, it's not the most useful when others need to use it, as they have to interpret how you've organised it and how you've set it up. We have some pros and cons on the screen in front of you, which I'll let you look through. As a database of contacts grow, it can become really unwieldy. I know Bernie's on the call today, and I think I remember working with you, Bernie, and you had pages and pages of contacts that you'd built up over time. A client relationship management system can do much more than a spreadsheet. So as your database grows, it can keep those details up to date. It can track your contacts and engagement. It can filter and help you target communications. It can help you keep a history of engagement across your contacts and generally help you to improve the customer relationships and make sure you keep in touch with everybody, maintaining their interest and supporting your school. As a careers leader, therefore, using a CRM system, and Compass Plus is just one of those, it can really support your sustainable and progressive careers programme. I'm going to talk a bit about Compass Plus as it's the free platform, which is used now by the majority of schools in the country. So if you use a different CRM, you'll probably be paying for it. And we're keen to make sure that your school budget is used to maximise the impact on your students rather than implementing administrative platforms. So Compass Plus enables you to store all of your careers contacts in one place. It's only accessible to you and the other users at your school, so it's very secure. You can create an organisation and one or more contacts within that organisation as you grow your relationships. And you can record many different types of data against each of the organisations and contacts, so you have a real full overview of what careers they can provide and exactly who can offer this. You can create contacts who are retired or who are not part of an organisation, and you can export an Excel file of information that you've entered to help you contact your partners. You can link individual contacts or whole organisations to careers activities that they take part in, making it really easy when you plan activities in Compass Plus to see the regularity of the people that are supporting you across your programme. This is just a screenshot really of a part of Compass Plus. The Careers Partnership section of Compass Plus is personal to you and your school, and it can't be accessed or seen by anyone else. It's your own personal database. The advanced search functionality helps you to efficiently search through your partner list. Searching through organisations, type, sector or distance from the school, which can be really invaluable if you're planning virtual or face-to-face events or you're targeting particular sectors for an activity. By filtering the sector, you can target the gaps in your employee encounters, for example. So you could choose the STEM organisations on your list if you know that that's something that you need to focus on. It also gives you the number of organisations in brackets, so you can refine the filters to get a workable number when you're looking at your events. If you're working with subjects across the curriculum, you can also filter by curriculum areas to support colleagues who are looking to engage employers or organisations with their specific curriculum area. As with any CRM, you get out of it what you put into it, but it can be done gradually over time. There's no need to think of this as a massive piece of work. If you already have a big spreadsheet of employers, you can upload these in bulk into the database. And there's lots of details online and in our knowledge base and YouTube videos to explain to you how to do that. The whole system has been invested in by the government and is constantly evolving with feedback from careers leaders themselves. For those of you using it, you'll know that the destinations reporting and the future skills questionnaire has changed and provides you with massive time-saving functionality to analyse and improve your programme and target the students that are specifically in need. So there's always lots of opportunities to be involved in focus groups and help further development of the platform. One of Philippa's favourite functions is the contact filters. So she told me this lets you narrow down on your list by their status, such as alumni, whether they're inactive, whether they're active, whether they're a relative of a pupil. So you know what type of relationship they have to your school, and you can adapt your approach to meet that need. You can, of course, download the contact details into Excel if you need to. And you can also link to your contacts to the activities you're planning. So you'll maintain an up-to-date record of each person supporting you at each event, and it will provide you with a summary of the individual events and the activities engagement. If you're using Compass Plus and you need more providers than you have in your own database, then you can also use this Find an Activity Provider function. This enables you to find an appropriate national provider to or a local one to deliver an activity in your area if you don't have one already in mind. All the providers lists are approved by the CEC, and your search results display a list of all providers who provide activities in your area. Each profile has a short summary of the organisation along with a description and all the activities they offer. Hopefully, a lot of them you will already be familiar with if they're local to you. You can filter them by activity type, Gatsby benchmark, curriculum subject, industry sector and more. But sadly, they're not all free of charge, so it will let you know if there is a cost associated. If you haven't got Compass Plus, then there is nothing to stop you accessing the information about the database and copying the fields into your own database or looking at these fields online and use the information to determine which fields you want and look for a data set that does that for you. However, as a careers leader, Philippa found that using Compass Plus kept everything all together, and once the information is there, you can use it more effectively. So this final slide with further information of how you can use it and links to the relevant places. I've also asked Costas from our digital team to join us for the end of this session in case you've got any technical questions that I'm not able to answer. So thanks to Sweta and Mark for your useful insights and information, and back over to you, Peter.
If you do have a question, I would very much prefer you to put your hand up and we come to you and you actually ask your question live. So if you want to say who your question is directed at, or whether it's just directed generally to the panel or anyone else in the meeting, that would be great. So does anyone have a question? So someone's asked, will the presentations be sent out? Yes, they will be sent out, and a recording will also be sent out. There'll be links sent to the presentation and the recording, so you'll have that. So that's not a problem. You'll be able to get that. Okay, so Judith Howard, you've got your hand up. So what question would you like to ask?
I was just interested on listening to Sweta and the fact you've chosen to use a different platform to Compass Plus. Why was that?
To be honest, we started our Compass Plus journey about over a year ago. And we were already, at that point, we were already registered with Unifrog, and we also already had a database that we were using for fundraising. So basically, our partnerships and fundraising team were using a software called Razor's Edge. And there was already a drive in the school to upgrade that Raiser's Edge fundraising platform to something more sophisticated, of which alumni was going to be a big part of. So that's another kind of element where alumni can be used, as you can probably imagine. And so with the kind of backing from the governors, the PA team managed to find funding that then allowed us to engage in this kind of separate bespoke tool, which has the functionality of the fundraising piece and the careers element. And that's why they decided to go for it.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, we've got a hand up, and it's surname's Fisher. I'm afraid it says D Fisher, so I don't know your first name, but
yeah, it's Diane.
Diane, welcome,
Yeah.
Diane.
It's just really about Compass Plus, because I really do want to get, we're on it, but I just haven't got it. Well, it's more the time, to be honest. Does everything have to be uploaded like individually? Like if you put an Alumni on, do they all have to go on individually, or can you upload? I don't know. How does it work? Because I haven't got into it properly yet to be able to. And is there anybody who'd be prepared to come in and help me get started?
So I can, so your EC should be able to help you get started, Diane, on that. And yes, you can upload. So if you've got everything into a spreadsheet, then you can upload your contacts into the database.
Okay.
And there are numerous small pieces of support available in the knowledge database. So if I can fish out the relevant ones, Costas, maybe you can help me there. Then we can forward those specific ones to you to save you searching for the instructions, and you can see really clearly how to do it. It isn't difficult.
Okay, the only other thing I do need to ask is we're moving from Sims, and you're going to ask me now what we're moving to, but I can't tell you because I've forgotten, but I will find out. Will that be a problem, or does it only interact with Sims?
No, it interacts with the majority of management information systems that schools use.
Okay.
Costas, if you're on the call, if you can come in, I'm not sure if you change platform midway through, what you would have to do.
Yes, there's a couple of things you need to do. So it's compatible with probably close to 90% of the systems out there. So more likely will be compatible with whatever you're moving to. The other thing we'd say is if you're moving sort of mid-academic year, what you'll find is the way the pupils are presented to Compass Plus with the new MIS is going to be different. So you won't lose your pupil information, but any historical activities that you got assigned to a pupil won't be assigned to that pupil in the new system.
So am I better waiting then to get started for when we move?
Yeah, we'd say to people, if you're going to change MIS, ideally do it in between academic years, so do it over the summer.
No, it's not. That's not going to work because I know they're doing it sooner rather than later. That's not out of my hands. Is there somebody that can you send me contact for who the IT department would need to speak to? Yeah,
I'll pick up with Diane after this.
Okay, thank you. That's appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, so any more questions? Because we're actually going to finish slightly ahead of time, which is a miracle. But it's been really good. While you're thinking, if you've got any other questions, I'd just like to summarise. So we heard from Sweta, and really the important aspect of how important alumni are, how very useful they are, and creative ways that you can keep them engaged, and that was fantastic. Then we heard from Mark, which is obviously LinkedIn is a really good way of keeping in contact and actually trying to find alumni that may have been may have left the school years and years ago, because they're going to be useful. They may be in social network groups with other pupils already. So LinkedIn is a business mechanism, a business sharing system that will really help you to connect with both pupils that are leaving now and students that left years ago. And that was great. Thank you very much, Mark, for that. And then, of course, Kerry, one of the things is if you've got an alumni or any database of contacts, you need to manage it. And that can cost money. But very, very nicely, the Careers and Enterprise Company have developed a product called Compass Plus, which will do it for you. It's a CRM system which you don't have to pay for, which is why we wanted to concentrate on that, because yes, you can go out and buy your own system if you wish to, but Compass Plus is free, and that's the key thing. So talk to your head teachers about that. It's free. So I think, Kerry, you did have your hand up, but I think you put your hand down. Did you want to say something?
No, you've got another question, so I will let that one go instead of me. So Kath Unwin is asking you that she's heard advice on LinkedIn to change your school to a business is better than having it registered as a school. So Mark, one for you.
So yeah, I'm off mute. Heard advice on change a school to a business is better. So I would say no. If it's a school you want to represent, then having a school page is 100% better, I would say. The reason why, you got the same core functionality on the schools page as you do on the company page, but the added additional functionality of the alumni functionality. That's one of the key differences between the schools page and the company page. So given, I'm assuming you're doing this as from a school's perspective, I would absolutely have it as a schools page, because you have that alumni functionality, which gives your current students and past students the ability to add your school to their profile in their education system, and gives you that alumni functionality that I talked through a bit earlier. So not sure if there's any more to the kind of question where you might have heard that advice or context, but no, I'll say absolutely, if you're a school, have a schools page.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Mark. One of my contacts at Further Education College, which is Simone, has asked, will Compass Plus be available for colleges? And Kerry's responded in the chat that currently it's not going to be available for colleges, but I don't know, hopefully sometime in the future, but not at this moment.
You have a question from Sweater as well.
It was just more of a comment, actually, to reassure Diane and others that are kind of getting a bit concerned about getting information onto Compass Plus, etc. Not an IT expert by any means, and we were launching at the same time. You know, we were kind of onboarding Unifrog and Alumni, and it was actually really, really straightforward. So very much like Kerry said, it's just, you just upload a file. It's called a CSV file, and it literally brings up all your contacts onto Compass Plus. So it is really, really easy. And also, I just wanted to give a shout out to Costas, because he has been really, really helpful throughout the process with us, from, you know, getting on board with Compass Plus through any kind of hiccups that we had, and yeah, where we're at now. So really appreciate all the help that Costas and his team gave to us. Very kind of responsive on the IT ticket kind of help desk side. So appreciate that. Thank you. Just one more thing also I wanted to say, Peter, if anyone is interested in any of the templates that I talked about, so the careers newsletters and how we use an alumni spotlight on there, the Wall of Fame, which is an idea that one of my colleagues in a different school started off, etc. I'll be more than happy to share any of these templates that any school might want implementing on their end. So yeah, I can do that after this call if you want, Peter.
Okay, yeah, I've just had an email in from Sam McKay, sorry, I don't know which pronunciation it is, but she would be interesting if you could share the Wall of Fame template. So if you could send that over to me, I can put it with the information when I send it out.
Lovely, will do, no problem.
Okay, well, thank you very much for everyone. Thank you, Sweater. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Kerry. And thanks to Philippa as well, who put that presentation together, even though she didn't deliver it today. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Hope you found it useful. And as I say, the information, the presentation and a recording of this session will be sent out and available to everyone who couldn't make it today.